Did Christ declare all foods clean, like all foods in the world, like other nations, what they eat, what the Israelites are eating? Did he declare all food clean, like what it talks about in Mark 7:18 through 19? Well, hey, without further ado, we're going to get into it. We're going to let Christ speak himself. We're going to start at the top of Mark 7, and we're going to read all the way down to that verse. Just to stay in context, to know exactly what Christ was talking about when he was talking to the Pharisees and Sadducees of that time, in that moment. Let's see what exactly this chapter and verse is talking about. Come on with True Brew, and let's get into this word.
Chapter 7. Now when the Pharisees gathered to him with some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem, they saw that some of his disciples ate with hands that were defiled, that is, unwashed. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they wash their hands properly, holding to the tradition of the elders. And when they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash. And there are many other traditions that they observe, such as the washing of cups and pots and copper vessels and dining couches. And the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, "Why do your disciples not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat with defiled hands?" And he said to them, "Well did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. You leave the commandment of God and hold to the tradition of men.' And he said to them, 'You have a fine way of rejecting the commandment of God in order to establish your tradition. For Moses said, "Honor your father and your mother," and whoever reviles father or mother must surely die. But you say, if a man tells his father or his mother, "Whatever you would have gained from me is Corban," that is, given to God, then you no longer permit him to do anything for his father or mother, thus making void the word of God by your tradition that you have handed down. And many such things you do.' And he called the people to him again and said to them, 'Hear me, all of you, and understand. There is nothing outside a person that by going into him can defile him, but the things that come out of a person are what defile him.' And when he had entered the house and left the people, his disciples asked him about the parable. And he said to them, 'Then are you also without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into a person from outside cannot defile him, since it enters not his heart, but his stomach, and is expelled?' Thus he declared all foods clean. And he said, 'What comes out of a person is what defiles him. For from within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person.'"
And there you have it. As you can see, Christ was not giving us the commandment that we can go out and eat anything that we want to eat. He was debating against the Pharisees and Sadducees who seen his disciples eating with unwashed hands, therefore making the food defiled before their eyes. Because the Pharisees kept the traditions of the elders, which is something they added to the law of Moses, making it harder for the Jews at that time to uphold the common law of the Most High Yah. It was harder for them because the elders' teaching, which were the Pharisees beforehand, passed their knowledge down that was apart from the law of the Father, and they added their own way. They passed it down to these Pharisees talking to Christ, and these Pharisees were saying, "Hey, your disciples are defiling all the food. Do they not keep up with the traditions of our elders? Do they not wash their hands? Do they not wash the cups and bowls?" All this other stuff that the law of God did not say. It had nothing to do with eating pigs and shellfish and all this other stuff that we want to eat because our flesh wants it, not because God said do it. I can guarantee you that there was no pigs and catfish and shellfish. All that stuff was not on their plates at the time Christ was talking. They were holding to the laws of the Most High. They were not eating all that other stuff that we want to eat as Christians because we feel that we know the word, but we really don't know the word. Let's come on back And let's dive in and really read in context of what's being said. He's saying it's not what goes in a person that defiles him, because he was debating the Pharisees about them eating with unclean hands. And in their mind, the food was defiled. So Christ had to break it down. And he listed off a few things that defiles a person that is already inside of man's heart. Because what you do with your heart is the action. And that's what sin is born. That's when you start acting on the thoughts in your mind. That's why Christ said, don't look on another woman with lustful intent, because you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. The heart is the action. What's in the heart comes out. But what he said about food, he basically said that if you put food into your mouth, it doesn't go into the heart, but it goes into the stomach and is later expelled. But he wasn't going against the things that the law of God said not to do. He was clearly talking about the food that they were eating at the time, because that was the debate. They were talking about washing hands when the disciples were eating with unwashed hands, and he was debating them on that part. Them adding to the law of God, because they came up with all these traditions of man and their elders that added to the law of God. That's it. They were not eating what we as Christians want to eat. You know what I mean? And I say we because I used to be of that flock, eating whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I'm through with that. I don't do that no more, and haven't done it for a while now. You feel me? Let's get it together.